Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 301 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada. We're recording on June 14th, 2021. As always, my name is Andrew. I'll be your host. Joining me tonight, we have Gavin, Pierre, and Brian.
And as always, we'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com or CanadianPatriotPodcast.com feedback, or visit Canadian Patriot Podcast. Sorry, that was bad.
No worries. We need your help to support the show. Visit
Clearly.
patreon.com. What?
We need help.
Yeah.
We need your help to support the show. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 an episode. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, the homepage, and follow the link on the right.
This brings us to my favorite segment. It's where I ask my co-conspirators for plausible deniability. We're going to go anti-clockwise on my screen. We'll start with Gavin. Gavin, what are you drinking, and why is it mixed with Diet Pepsi?
I'm drinking a Signal Hill again this evening with the Diet Pepsi because Coke doesn't like me.
Fair enough. I was rhetorical, but good answer. Pierre, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking 40 Creek and Pepsi, as well as Molson cold shots.
Wow.
Careful,
Wow,
you're going
that's
to end
awesome.
up like Dave did on last Tuesday morning.
So I'm pretty good. I have a very flexible start time, and my daughter goes to my parents on Sunday night to Tuesday night. So Mondays are kind of like my go-to of have fun nights.
Perfect.
And you've decided to spend that with us.
Yeah.
Want you to think about that decision later.
I never said I was a smart guy.
Welcome
you'll
to
be
the
fine.
panelists. Yeah.
You'll fit in just fine.
Yeah.
Brian, what are you
All
drinking?
right. Well, in between butchering everything, I'm drinking some Slave and Clear 2.0 again, trying to keep the carbs down.
Are you going to do keto, or you're just on the low carb?
Yeah, right now, just low carbs and trying to not eat a bunch of crap, trying to keep the weight down.
Good stuff. I have something to trigger Brian with. I have something new this week that I've not had before. Heritage
Herpes?
Hops Brewing Company. It's called Keep Calm and Carry On. It's a British style pale ale.
Oh, that's on your beer's scale. That's actually not too bad.
Yeah.
God damn it. All right, we'll work on that.
Uh,
Someone hand me the fruity umbrella.
You've got another half of the month to go, Andrew. And
Well, I think I'm going to go back to Waterloo next week, but we'll see. I'm trying to not spice things up because I don't want that beer, but I'll try and find something more triggering for Brian next week. Patriot Challenge. We're asking listeners to do 5 things. Well, I guess they don't even have to be listeners. We're just asking people. Do 5 things every day to be a better person. Exercise, practice a skill, read a book, drink 2 liters of water, and do something to make your life better. Not a big list. Deceptively hard to get all 5 things done, though.
yes.
I'm consistently 4 out of 5.
The complete one task that will improve your life thing is a really hard one, I find.
Yeah, that's tough.
No, I find I toggle back and forth on did I read a book today or not? Tends to be the one that I fall down on. I'm going to blame last month's book club for that.
Yeah, so what you need to do is start reading them on your phone like I do, because it's got a thing. It's like, I know you like the gold stars, and when your phone says congratulations, you've done this. So I have that for when I read my books on the thing, or even if I listen to an audiobook, it'll show it. Yeah. So it'll tell me that I've finished X number of books and I've done X number of minutes of reading and all of that. So I'm at 102 days in a row of half an hour of reading a day. Makes
That's
it easy
very
to
impressive.
keep me motivated, which I know, Jocko, motivation is bullshit, but it is still nice to have every now and again.
Yeah.
Because when you're at day 102 and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can read today, and you're like, no, I've got to get that next day because I don't want to break my streak.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and everybody also wants a participation badge.
Exactly.
I really do. If you give me gold stars, I'll basically do whatever.
Yeah, and unlike the COVID numbers, this number resets when I don't do the thing. It goes to 0. Yeah.
We've also got the Finnish Reserve Sport Association, Russell, organizing their 4-day distance marching event at the end of July. Up to 4 days, 10, 25, or 40 kilometers over each of those 4 days. So if you really, really wanted to, you could do a 160-kilometer ruck march.
Yeah.
Brian's shaking his head.
Yeah, no, that's a little crazy. I mean, if you're not a part of the military, I don't know why you do that much.
The government's not going to overthrow itself, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're not even doing that many either.
So that's coming up. That's good. Hopefully people have got signed up for that. I got my t-shirt and my trinkets coming in the mail.
Section I mean, what you guys are trying to set up for seems a little bit more reasonable, but to try and do the whole thing sounds crazy.
Well, we've challenged some of the other podcasts, and I have it on good authority that Mike is going to give us a very good run for his money, or our money, and maybe make us all look bad.
Oh, really?
Apparently he has been hitting it hard. So good for you, Mike. Keep up the good work. I'm glad that we could inspire you to do something. But he's been out there with 25 plus pounds. I believe he's already done a 10, 10, 10, 25. And for some of it, he was jogging. Then. Yeah, some of it he was jogging. So I guess this is what happens sometimes when you poke the bear. You wake the bear. But good for you, Mike, and everyone else. And
That's
yes,
why
Darren,
you only poke the bear in December.
Yeah, we will give you a gold star too, Darren. You can have a gold star in repairing your cow fence.
I was going to offer him just 1 gold star per cow.
That works too, yeah.
I feel like that's a equitable distribution of gold stars.
Yeah.
Listener feedback. I know it's not a listener feedback show, but this was a really good one. And I was having one of those days where I'm like, I don't know if I want to do a podcast. And we got a really good email. So I'm doing a podcast.
Nice.
So gold star, do the thing, right? It's very Pavlovian.
Yeah.
Somebody says, you did a good job, and then I do the thing. It's very good.
Yeah.
Shut up and have another beer. All right. Listener feedback. This comes to us from Eric. CPP challenge and other thoughts. Good afternoon, men. I have found my people. Where to begin? I've been binge listening to your podcast for the last couple of weeks, and you have made them. Finally, I've found a group that thinks along the same lines as I do and is not afraid to speak out about it. You've challenged me to, and I quote, do better. As a result, I'm currently halfway through this month's book club. Fantastic read, by the way. And I'm looking forward to taking some shooting courses. I've heard about the Maple Seed one. That is fairly close to me. First opening October. As well, I've printed out the CPP challenge and is on my freezer in my garage next to my beer fridge. 5-star review, men. Looking forward to finishing the backlog of podcasts, meeting you in person, and learning some new skills. From a farmer and a framer, best regards, Eric. And I want to thank Eric for the very nice email. And also his judicious use of exclamation points. There's lots of exclamations in there.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad we could help motivate you to be a better you.
And I'm sorry that you decided to binge watch the podcast or binge listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
It seemed like a...
It's really not that bad, guys. Trust me.
I'd say it gets better, but...
A fan perspective, it's good.
The same. It's the same. It's been the same for 301 episodes. Maybe
you know what? It's the same.
They're close.
It's the same, but you don't find it anywhere else. Nobody else.
300 episodes, of mediocrity, and one really good one, which was the Tim Solo show. That's
Tim Solo show was my second favorite show. Ladies' Night, I think, was my favorite. I had nothing to do with it.
So this being, I guess you could say, my second show on, because last time I got on, but I mean, it's nice to hear, like, it would be no different for me myself of finding like-minded people without having to interact with people or end up being the weirdo asking questions to find like-minded people. So I understand that. And I mean, it does get the day going. Like, I spend a lot of time in my work truck driving job site to job site, repair to repair, traffic in Montreal, that you can only listen to the radio so long, all depending where you work, right?
And it can be pretty funny at times too. Like me fucking up at the beginning of the show. Like,
I know. Like I might re-download that and just listen to that again in the truck there. But no, I mean, like, so I get it, right? Because everything, well, depending how everything goes, but just, finding like-minded people and not having to go out and find like-minded people is nice.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Finding like-minded people. I mean, people keep asking us, how do we do that? And it's like, we tell you, but like, it's still not easy.
No. Right? Like,
you have to go and do the things.
The trick is to walk into public spaces and say, I really like firearms. And then and then two people run away. And,
I live honestly, way too close to Ottawa to do anything of that sort, because I'm too close to Parliament. And
whatever you do not take your truck and drive it into a gate. That is not how you find friends.
My advice to people would be just go, just like Andrew said, just go for it. Like, just go sign up for a gun match. Like, there's one coming up this weekend in Guelph. Sign up for something like that. Just go out, do things. Like, if you're a fisherman, go out there, fish. You'll meet people that are like-minded. Just go out and get after it.
Yeah, and I mean, half of the panelists this evening are people that used to just listen to the show.
Yeah, I have yet to kick anyone off the show. We've had a couple of people that won't come on, but I have yet to actually kick anybody off.
Yeah, you got to come on so that we can kick you off. That's how that works.
In my defense, this is only my second show.
Don't worry. Have another cold shot.
Yeah. Keep rocking the cold.
Oh boy. Well, let's do some news. Compare and contrast two things that are going on in the world this week. One,
I think before we do, I think we might need to start a new segment. It's going to be hot takes and cold shots with Pierre. That's going to be the where you just come in cold, you don't know anything. We just hit you with things, and you have to like chug one back and then say the first thing that comes to your mind.
I fucking love it. Boy. I love it.
You got 30 seconds. What's your question?
Gavin didn't plan this out, and I'm being put on the spot.
No. Yeah, we'll work on it. It's a bit in progress.
All right, we'll plan it out.
Yeah.
All right.
We could do it like a roundtable thing where we each take a question. Maybe we should all have a question.
Yeah.
For somebody.
We'll prepare better for next week. You won't know the questions, but we'll have our questions. Yeah.
Oh, goody. Dawn has a new challenge. Dawn would like to get kicked off the show. Dawn.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to come on the show.
Yeah.
I know where your cottage is.
Is that the famous Don himself?
That is the famous Don.
Yeah. Handsome Don himself. Yeah.
We would love to have him come on and get kicked off.
I don't even think. Yeah. I don't think we could kick Don off the show.
What could he do to get kicked off? Honestly, I don't think
I've seen his trail cam. There's a couple of things.
Yeah, I've seen his trail cam too.
Actually, you're right. I got sent that.
Some news then. Reasonably close to home, or at least in Manitoba. Maxime Bernier was released after being arrested earlier this week because he went to Manitoba. So I guess you can be arrested for going to Manitoba now. All things considered, that seems reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, why would you want to? But I mean, you shouldn't be like, yeah, this is dumb.
Okay, so in seriousness, this is dumb. In St. Pierre, Manitoba. Mad Max was having a rally, and he got charged under. Go ahead.
Sorry, he got arrested for what? Crossing the border, like doing the border crossing.
Yeah, crossing the provincial border.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry,
just to specify. Yeah, the provincial border.
He went to Manitoba to have a rally, and he's been charged under the Public Health Act.
Can I take a shot in the dark? Because I could say I don't really know too much about it, but was he arrested probably because he was trying to make a point? Because I know a bunch of people do this all the time and they don't get arrested.
I think to a certain degree, this is
it's a statement.
I want to say it's a stunt. Yeah, I mean, a statement, sure, but I think.
Did he want to get arrested? Do you think?
I think that he went into this with a good expectation that something like this could happen. I think this is being like, there's no such thing as bad press. This getting him in the news with an election coming as the head of an alternative party that has a
pro freedom.
I'm going to say a large supporter base.
Yeah.
Right. The issue with this, if Ian were here to point it out to us, I think would be that this is vote splitting on the right, implying the Conservatives are on the right of the political spectrum.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also like, it's one of those things where I think it's two people that were looking to make a statement and then went and did the thing that made the statement for both of them, because it's like you've got a reasonably well-known politician that flaunting his border crossing provincially. And then what do? They have to do something about it. So like they arrest him, but then he does it to get arrested. So it's like,
yeah.
I think he went to Manitoba. Yes, as Chris points out, from Quebec, and no, there is no border between Quebec and Manitoba, so far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
But
the Ontario border, it's very wide. That the whole of Ontario is the buffer zone just to keep people from Quebec out of Manitoba.
Yeah. Or we're the buffer zone between Quebec and the rest of Canada. Yeah. You're welcome to the rest of Canada.
We need to build a wall around parts of Quebec and parts of Ontario.
I don't disagree.
Oh, let me guess, Andrew.
I am there way too often to disagree with
the GTA wall, Andrew, right?
That's right. I just want to make the lake a little bigger.
So start at the GTA, and then wherever you want to stop, just go down the water all the way up to Montreal, and we'll figure out the rest. Just cut off all the bridges.
Montreal's an island. How hard could it be to flood?
Yeah,
exactly. Just cut off the bridges, right? Nobody can get out. Yeah, and then I mean, I won't object to some parts of Quebec, but I mean, let's keep the really good. I'm not a big fisher, but I know they have good fishing, so let's keep the fishing and the really good hunting stuff. And then, however, to get to the East Coast available, rest of it could care less, man.
Yeah, but like, if they do cut off the bridges, we could have it be like the Escape from LA thing with like Snake Plissken and all that, where it's just like it's an island and everyone's just there, right? Like there's.
I see a big budget movie coming from Canada soon.
Yeah.
I mean, Kurt Russell does need some more work. But yeah, I mean, and Ian's in the comments that Bernier only appears right before an expected election. I mean,
which is, I don't think, untrue. I
think it's true of a lot of
would not be salty about the outcome of the 2018 Conservative leadership race. Like he won, or he was leading in how many rounds of the
like
Conservative
11
race?
of 12 or 12 of 13 or whatever ridiculous number of candidates they had.
And he's not a very good conservative, big C Conservative Party conservative. He's like, well, we should limit immigration and we should do things that stop sending money to other countries and we should focus on ourselves. And it's a very populist stance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still bitter and heartbroken about him losing the party nomination back in the day.
I'm more upset that O'Toole won than that Bernier's out of the party.
I mean,
like,
who would you rather have seen as leader right now?
I would have liked to see Max Bernier have won the 18 race, and not have the soy boy the first time around, and not have O'Toole this time around, because I don't.
Oh, you can't call him a soy boy because he would not be drinking soy milk. He's drinking regular milk.
Yeah, regular milk. You're right. I don't think Scheer or O'Toole are particularly good leaders for the Conservative Party, but I don't think the Conservative Party are particularly conservative. The difference between O'Toole and Trudeau is they're arguing about the speed at which we crash the airplane.
Yeah.
And the amount of funky socks.
Yes. Yeah. There's definitely fewer funky socks on the side that's crashing the airplane slower.
Yeah.
What was the candidate that I can't remember her name. I think she was the only one going for the leadership party for the Conservatives in the last race. She had university degrees for.
Oh, yeah.
Was that Lisa Raitt?
No. It was the other one.
Leslyn Lewis?
Leslyn Lewis. That's the one.
Oh, the visible minority.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
he didn't want to say it. He's like,
so I didn't have the politically correct way of saying that. And,
he's like, that's around it.
But
like,
so I don't know much. I don't know much about everything, but just her political stance and how she was talking and everything. I would have I don't know if I would want to see her as the leader of the Conservative Party, but I wouldn't mind seeing a lot more of her in case the opportunity comes again to vote for her compared to what we have.
I liked her a lot too. She had a lot of good things to say, that's for sure.
Yeah. Right, but
I agree. Somebody like O'Toole, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, politicians, they'll say whatever they want to get wherever they want, and then do whatever the fuck they want, anyways. But she did seem more inclined.
I would have loved to have seen her, take it a little bit further than she did, and all that, because I think she was educated.
Yeah,
and I would love to have seen. And I'm just going to go right out and say it. I would have loved to have seen a black woman go up against the party that does all of the virtue signaling and all of the things to the different minorities and this and that and panders to them. And then how do you go and say, I'm trying to do this for all of you. Please vote for me, the rich white male, and not the black woman. Right?
Yeah.
Like they play all the identity politics games, and here you are. They would take that out from under them and go, "Oh, okay. If that's who we should be voting for, great. Let's."
And if I agreed with the platform that the Conservatives run on, I think that would be a great thing to see watch. And just for the entertainment value, it would be fun.
Yeah.
But I really don't want the Conservatives to be in power any more than I want the Liberals to be in power, because we're just arguing about the speed at which we crash the plane.
Yeah, which is why I'd love a time machine to go back and get rid of Scheer so that he couldn't win the nomination back when Bernier was running, and have Bernier win, because at least it would have been an even slower crashing of the plane, I think, because he actually has somewhat conservative values.
He does, but the party leader doesn't dictate the party policy.
Yeah.
Right? That all comes from convention.
And that's the big issue I find, right? Like, we don't have anything. I wouldn't even say the in-between, right? You want to talk about liberals being a far side and then conservatives, right? That's how everybody identifies. Are you liberal or conservative? But we don't have anything. We either have way too far to one side compared to the other, or you're in the middle, and we don't have that in between that just logically makes sense, right? I mean, you want to talk about the libertarians, right? Okay, I don't disagree with a lot that they say, but they'll never get power.
But anytime libertarians try to do anything, it ends up with kiddie porn and drugs, and I don't want either of those things.
I don't disagree, right? But I mean, we could talk the same about the Liberal Party, but the news is just not relating it, right? So
they're just better at hiding the desire for the kiddie porn and the drugs in the Liberal Party. Not a lot better, because they keep getting arrested, but
So I mean, you could say, like, we just don't have anything, right? You either got center or way too off to one side. We don't have something that just kind of just goes the right way and just makes logical sense. But I mean, then you also have to get logical people
too much to
vote.
ask for a populist nationalist party in this country?
No, it's not even the party, right? It's for the citizens or whoever is allowed to vote to understand the concepts behind it and follow that. Just be like, hey, look, this does make sense. If you take your golden star hat off, right, or your participation badges off your chest, and you think logically, we don't have anything that way, right? And that's the upsetting part.
And I mean, I think
that's definitely the truth. Sorry, Gavin.
No,
I mean, go ahead. Sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
No, I think that, like, I mean, Evola, I think, nailed it when he said, more or less that, like, for the longest time in history, the right-leaning way of thinking was the logical, natural way of things. And for so many years, the vast majority of people believed that because that was just the way that the natural world worked. And we didn't need to come up with arguments to support it because it was just, that's the way that it was. And then all of a sudden, the left started to gain some traction and popularity, and then people started to do all of these things. And they got really good at waging the propaganda war. Case in point, Rules for Radicals, and all of these other things that they came up with in order to be able to combat the natural logic of the right way of thinking. So they got really good at it. Yeah. The right is now playing catch up to combat the left's way of propaganda, because for the longest time, all we had to do was go, well, of course I believe this because it's right, because it's the correct way to do this. I don't need to explain it because it's so logical and makes so much common sense. You can't do that now. You can't just go, it's right because it's right. You have to explain it to people for them to believe you. Yeah. And we're playing catch up now. So yeah, you've got all these left parties that talk all this nonsense about this, that, and everything else, and the right's just, well, that's dumb. Yeah. Okay, but we have to explain to these people why it's dumb and why they shouldn't do that and why they should believe your way of doing it, even though to you it seems like it's common sense.
I'm tired of trying to explain this to people that are not willing to think critically about the situation around them. This goes back to earlier, Brian, somebody said people that get to vote, and we really need to be more particular about who we allow to have that privilege.
I don't disagree, but with how the government is now and how it will be in the future, we'll give it to anybody, right? Hey, we'll allow anybody to vote, right?
Yeah, we really need to be more selective about that.
I don't disagree, but if let's say liberals, right, we'll allow a bunch of people in, we'll do a bunch of stuff and everything, just so you vote for the liberals again, right? Doesn't matter what their political views are or what their stance is on anything you believe in. At the end of the day, if the person says, hey, I want to make $4,000 a month and I don't want to do anything for it, and someone is willing to give that to them, yeah, no problem, I'll vote for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I can give you a real life example of stuff that actually that proves exactly what you said. So my longtime listeners will know my father's side of the family comes from Albania, so communist country. As they started to become freer and throw off their communist shackles, if you will, the party members still stayed in power. They just weren't communist party. So the person that was running the country towards the end there started to like realize he was losing power and started to like make some changes and stuff like that. And so despite the fact that my grandmother absolutely hated the Communist Party because they literally murdered her husband and like did all of these things and made it so that she couldn't see her son, my father, because he left the country, and they like, ripped up mail and they broke it and they stabbed it with knives and all kinds of shit like over the years. She still, when it came time to vote, voted for the guy that at the end of the day did all of that stuff, but the latest thing that he did was allowed my father into the country so that she could see him. It's the same person, and she loved him now because it's the person that did that, forgetting about all of the nonsense throughout the 30 years or more that this guy made everyone's life a living hell.
And it was right around the election time, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's do something else. This isn't exactly election time, but contrast our Max Bernier being arrested for going to Manitoba,
which I believe is still within Canada.
It is.
Traveling is a charter right, but whatever.
Well, okay. Get your free man on the land argument ready. Yes, you're being detained.
Don't tase me, bro.
So at the same time that this is going on, our prime minister attends a vigil for an alleged terrorist attack, and then the next day gets on a plane and flies to England for the G7 summit, wherein they have photo ops where they're social distancing and wearing masks, and then as soon as the photo op is over, the masks are gone, and well, all of the G7 leaders are all hugging and carrying on and not socially distancing. And last I checked, the Queen is coming up on her 100th birthday. So, yeah. Consistency, guys. Consistency.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Freeland walking around, and they've all been busted. Yeah, putting the mask on.
You call that walking? It's more like a waddle, like an aggressive waddle.
Yeah.
You took her baby penguin away.
But I mean, I guess her feet were kind of sore, so she had to kick the shoes off and walk
around. Is that
why
why the shoes
barefoot.
came off? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so ridiculous. Barefoot. Who does? Oh my god! I couldn't believe that picture when I seen that.
Deputy Prime Minister of a G7 country
just takes her shoes off and walks.
Now I'm gonna say this before anyone says it. Women in politics are going to get picked on because of their outfits, blah, 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 and all of that. Yeah, great. So we're not picking on her because of her outfit and doing all the things that we wouldn't be doing to men. Imagine if some other politician, politician, took off his shoes and socks and walked around
barefoot.
Imagine.
I'd be making fun of Trudeau just as much if there was a photo op of him showing off his socks. I would make fun of him. Just as hard for
this. Just to say, imagine the field day they would have had, and not Canadian, but if it was Trump that was at the G7 walking around with no socks and shoes on, they would have lost their minds.
Oh my god,
this.
Yeah.
Right. So why wear shoes that are so uncomfortable? You need to take them off after an hour
because clearly she's an idiot.
About for a week.
Yeah, she's an idiot. Right? That's why, and should not be in charge of a country.
And if you can't find shoes, high heels, I don't even know what picture you're talking about or what shoes she was wearing previously to that. But if you can't find shoes that fit comfortably, I mean, maybe we should refigure out how to make shoes more classy, right? Or etiquette for certain scenarios and be more comfortable for people.
Yeah. That and to Chris's comment on the thing, she didn't keep the mask on. She put the mask on for a photo op and then took it off once the photo was done because she has to look like she's doing the things, much like all the other leaders.
Well, she had it off first.
And then they're all bothers me for the G7 is there's lots and lots of photos and videos of all of the world leaders. Well, I shouldn't say world leaders, but the G7 country leaders at these events. They're all very close together. They're all touching one another and carrying on, and they're not observing any of the rules that they've enforced in their own country. Boris Johnson and the Queen of England are there. They have pretty harsh lockdown restrictions. Biden is running around carrying on arm in arm with Trudeau. Both the Americans and the Canadians.
Yeah, but that's because he thought that Trudeau is much younger than he is.
No, not just that. Trudeau's helping him walk around. Right? Trudeau's helping him walk around. Trudeau's the one keeping him up for this thing. He doesn't have.
He's certainly keeping him up, all right.
All night long.
Yeah.
And Andrew, sorry, you had mentioned it real quick and just glossed over it, but of course, what happened there in London was a tragedy, and it was disgusting. But I really, really was disgusted by what Jagmeet Singh had to say in front of the whole country the next day, claiming that this country is so racist that Muslim people are afraid to walk around. Seriously? Have you been to Mississauga? It doesn't seem like anybody's scared to walk around. Like everybody's walking around just fine. Those comments were ridiculous.
I didn't listen to him, to be honest to you, and I'm
well.
Not...
He went up in front of everybody and said that Canada, that this proves that this is a racist country, and that it's time for us to do something, and that apparently that people of ethnic background, they can't even walk through the streets of Canada. They're like. Whoever did this guy was a twisted maniac, and it was a tragedy. But for him to go on TV and virtue signal like that and try to inflame it more and say that this is a racist country, it's so ridiculous. Canada's one of the most tolerant places in the world.
Why does he want to be the prime minister of such a racist, horrible place? Why doesn't he go somewhere less racist?
So I'm just curious.
How could somebody of his background become in such a high position in a racist country in the first place, too? Like, if it were so racist, how could he achieve such great things?
Well, I don't know. Leader of the third place party isn't really.
Hey,
I'm sure he does well for himself.
If you're third place, you're still on the podium, right? First place, you won. True. Second place, you're pissed you didn't win. Third place, you're at least happy to be on the podium.
I just thought it was ridiculous, and I don't understand why politicians do that kind of stuff. It's not.
That's how they stay relevant.
Political points.
It's not bringing the country together. You just create. He was like standing up there promoting hate, like basically saying that there's like an issue of white supremacist people running around here and running over Muslim families. Like it happens every day. Like get the fuck out of here, man. The guy's a turd. The guy's a turd.
Just out of curiosity, let's say a week from now, because of what happened, right? A visible minority. I'm trying to be politically correct while having.
Yeah, it doesn't matter which one, but a visible minority.
A visible minority does the exact same to a Canadian white family. Is he going to come up there and say the exact same thing?
No. Oh no, he wouldn't.
No.
Right? Like, would it even hit
white people would have
national? Would it hit national news as much as this did? And don't get me wrong, I do not want to imply that it doesn't matter what race you are or what gender you identify as.
It was really bad.
It's bad, right? No one should fear walking down the sidewalk and a vehicle coming and wiping out 2-3 generations of a family. Absolutely. Should never happen. Don't matter where you live in this world, in my opinion. But I can't control another country and what their government and regulations are and all that stuff. But in Canada, it doesn't matter what gender you identify as, what gender you are. You should not fear walking down the road in a safe manner, using sidewalks, using this, whatever. You want to walk across the 401 in Toronto, buddy, you're taking a gamble for your life, right? So,
but that's because it's a busy highway and not because of anything else. But
that's because it's a ridiculously busy, annoying highway. Yeah,
I don't know about you, but that was the first time I ever heard of anything like that happening.
So, people have been run over in terrorist incidents before, but usually
but I mean, like in Canada, like let's.
We're usually not allowed to call them terrorist incidents.
So, I'm thinking about the time in Yonge Street.
I've heard of a
what was that?
race.
2007.
Yeah, no, I heard about I'm not saying like that hasn't happened. That's what I'm saying. It's the first time I've ever heard apparently a racist radical guy targeting a Muslim family and running them over with his car. That's the first time I've ever heard this happen.
But you could talk about the Quebec mosque shooting. How many years ago? Fairly. I want to say within the last
16, 17?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
right?
Somewhere in that ballpark, yeah.
Yeah, so fairly recently enough, you had a person that objected to, just did something, right? Whether you want to agree with them or not, doesn't matter. But we had the Quebec mosque shooting. There were a bunch of people killed, a bunch of people injured. Should have never happened in that scenario. You don't like a specific person, you have the right to not like the person, but you do not have the right to go.
I'm not sitting here saying that it's perfect here. I'm not saying it's perfect.
No.
But what I'm saying is when I wake up in the morning and I go to work and I'm driving through the city, I see people of all colors, all races outside jogging, riding their bikes, going to work, getting their whatever, right? So you know what? It happens. Sometimes these things happen. But for you to go out there and say like it's epidemic, right? We got to do something about this. This is rampant. It's like he's basically saying that every white person is a terrorist and we want to go and kill Muslims or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with you with that. And look at right before the election, right? That big video that they posted everywhere about Jungming Singh that was on the Quebec side, and the Quebec was passing that law, or it is law, or they're fighting it right now, or whatever, about not wearing anything religious when you work for a federal. Which bill is that in there?
Oh, I can't remember, but yeah, if you're not allowed to wear any religious garb when you work for the government, which personally, I don't like.
I don't disagree because religion and state are different. Religion, and state are two different things.
Yeah.
Right. Unless, I guess you could say if you're Rome, because that's where the Vatican is and everything. But
well, I mean, technically in Canada, because we're still under the head of the British government, even though we aren't, but we are.
Yeah.
Technically, we are an Anglican nation.
Right. So
we've separated church and state. So yeah, you shouldn't have to. Or you shouldn't be allowed to wear anything, be it Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Rastafarian, Pastafarian, anything.
Hooba Gooba, Voodoo, whatever, right? Okay,
Shinto,
so state and religion, unless your country is based on your state is because of this religion, yes, they need to be separate, no ands ifs or buts. Yeah. So do I 100% agree with their specific, this is how it is now? I don't necessarily agree 100% with how they came about passing that law, but do I disagree with it? Not really.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Basically, if Jagmeet didn't get up and say ridiculous things, he wouldn't be relevant and wouldn't have anything to say.
Right? I mean, if Jungming Singh was a white guy, it wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah.
I just wish there was some accountability. Like, and it's our like these people are supposed to be our leaders.
Step
one,
guy
just goes up there and speaks all kinds of shit.
So step one,
recall legislation is what's needed to have some sort of accountability.
No,
that's never going to happen.
No, and disagreeing with a political appointee, I guess I'll classify it as, and you being a visible non-minority is wrong.
Well,
yeah,
it's the same. It's the same problem. It's still just racism.
Yeah. Right. But it's not like it won't get advertised or spoken about as racism.
No. Reverse racism is still racism
against white men.
Yeah, it is, right? But only the white man will say it's racist, but then everybody will disagree with the fact that it's
because it's targeted towards a white guy.
That's right. Black pride says the black man, Asian pride says the Asian man, white pride says the racist.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So there's that fine line where, like I said, I don't 100% disagree with what they're doing. But if your religion, for example, the bill I was talking about in Quebec, right? You can't wear a hijab if you work in a certain scenario. Okay, well, asking someone not to wear that for working in a political or can't think of the term properly, but you work in the government where you with this
a public sector job.
Yeah, and there's dress codes.
Right. So yes, a dress code or whatever. So I don't I personally don't see a scenario where I'm like, this person wearing a hijab is offensive. But I understand the fact that they don't want everything there. So there's that very fine line where I don't disagree, but I don't agree with what they're doing.
I feel that way about a lot of politics in general.
Oh, I feel about all politics. But I'm just using that as a scenario.
But if there was a corporation that was just like, yeah, you know what? We're going to forget about all this crap. When you come here, we're just neutral. So no politics, no nothing. We're not going to display any flags. Nobody. I would actually like to go to that fucking place. I'd be like, oh.
I will be there tomorrow.
Yeah. Like, that's kind of nice. I don't have to listen to people's crap.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody can just chill the fuck out for a second.
Yeah.
We should probably move into a happier topic then.
Well, I just want to bring it back slightly to the G7 thing just quickly for one point.
Sorry, Andrew.
So and people are going to maybe say like, oh, the G7 needs to happen because all the politicians of the G7 nations need to get together to talk to things to solve the world
Zoom,
problems.
that's what we do.
And all the things, right? So yes, I'm okay with the G7 people meeting, and I understand as a businessman that sometimes things need to happen and they need to happen in person and all the things. And sometimes you need to talk about important things in person. But if that's the case, why the fuck was Stella McCartney or whatever she is, the fashion designer there at the G7 thing? Because that right there proves that this was not about anything important and that it was all just for show and nonsense. That is
obviously
not an important...
it was for show.
Yeah, but that just proves it's not like that's just this, like the G7 leaders with nobody else in a room, social distancing with their masks and shoes on. This was just a ridiculous party for them.
Shoes.
Because it's funny. Right? Like, it just shows that it's all bullshit. Like, they weren't there for anything important to talk about anything important. They had a fucking fashion designer there. Like, come on.
Andrew,
can you take any of this seriously when this is the thing that our G7 nation people fly to a thing during a pandemic that they're always going on and on about how dangerous and deadly it is? They go and they're having crazy, like, Great Gatsby era, like, parties with caviar and champagne and all of this nonsense and celebrities. Get out of here.
All this being a G7 country, right? The big, great 7 countries. Are you telling me there is a face-to-face meeting that cannot happen on a private, secure phone call if it is that important to have it? We don't have access to a secure phone line. I could get, or for example, unfortunately, the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, could not get in touch with someone else on a secure line and have a conversation, or through Zoom or whatever else.
It's not about the technology or the availability or the urgency. I think it was strictly about the photo ops.
Yeah. I was going to ask,
I don't disagree.
Anything that came out of the G7 that was like groundbreaking for the world, that changed the world or even made our lives.
America and the US are going to look at reopening the border at some point in the future.
I think that there is some groundbreaking that came out of this. The fact that our politicians didn't give a shit about COVID stuff and were there palling around, patting each other on the back, giving each other hugs and high fives and photo opportunities has proved that this pandemic is over. Yeah, that is the biggest groundbreaking thing that has come out of this.
I did enjoy the Ottawa doesn't have a Corona hotel because Ottawa is not an official port of entry for this country. And the Prime Minister says that he's going to quarantine, but he's decided that he's not doing it for 14 days, and he's not doing it in a government-mandated hotel like other travelers have to.
Yeah.
Well, when you make up the rules,
here's Bernier. Yeah, here's Bernier, a guy speaking out about stuff that doesn't travel internationally, has only traveled within the country, and he gets arrested for that. This jackass goes to a protest, immediately flies to another country, pals around with everyone, doesn't obey any of the things, comes back and is like, yeah, all that other stuff that you peasants need to do, I'm not going to do that.
So I thought that border mandatory essential travel stuff was blown out of the water on, I believe it was Friday, the Friday that just passed with Ontario. loosening or going to stage 1 of, our first 2 weeks.
I think
lockdown.
we're still allowed to cross the border. I don't know. The rules change every hour. Who knows?
Yeah. So I've crossed the border over to Quebec quite a few times in between this.
Yeah, but and that's because the beer is cheaper, right?
Yeah.
Well, no. So thankfully, yes, the beer is cheaper, but I prefer the Molson Canadian cold shots, and because it has Canadian written on the can, you won't find it in Quebec, even though it's brewed in Quebec. But that's a different thing, right? Like, so just for
the money
purposes,
in Quebec is that's how.
So I've gone out there for work quite a few times, and yes, I came across the border every time, and didn't matter which way I took to get back to east of Ottawa, but not on the dark side. There was OPP around, but I thought I understood that when we entered phase 1 last Friday, that the mandatory essential travel for the Ontario and Quebec and Manitoba border was nil and voided.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Not according to Manitoba, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so was it on Manitoba that arrested him, or was it Ontario?
Yeah, Manitoba. It was Manitoba.
Okay, so I apologize. I wasted a few minutes there because I misunderstood.
That's okay.
That's all right. If you weren't sure, there are other listeners that were not sure, so it's always good to.
And they may or may not be less sober.
Yeah.
Oh, if they're less sober or more, less. I don't know. See, you fucked me up there. I've already had about 4 cold shots and half a bottle here. So
yeah.
Oh boy.
So if
let's
I didn't
move on
understand,
to happier things.
Yeah. So if I didn't understand, okay, but no, I wasn't. I just didn't hear the part specifically about who. Right, he was arrested by who?
Yes.
By
the RCMP in Manitoba under a Manitoba health order.
Yeah.
Okay, my apologies for wasting another few minutes.
Good.
No. So like we got anything else to talk about, but happier things.
Well, let's talk about guns because this came up recently.
I like guns.
I also like guns.
I like it then.
It came up on the listener show, if episode 300 there, what you did with listener feedback. Put on your new Shooter Canada hat. That's a plug for another podcast.
Yeah.
If you were going to get a firearms license today and you went through the mandatory waiting period, plus the additional 4-month wait that it's taking for the RCMP to process your application.
No, oh my God, it's taking a long time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It takes a terrible long time, but you finally got your, let's assume you got your RPAL. You did both courses.
Okay.
And
I'm ready.
Finally go to your favorite local gun store, which I'm going to say is Select Shooting Supplies, because that's where I pulled my prices from where possible. Because go to Select Shooting Supplies. Tell them Andrew sent you. They know who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And big shout out to Diener. Yeah. Dean, Tracy, Brian.
Tracy's awesome. Yeah. I was at 519 the other day.
Thanks for the mostly free gun, guys.
If you were going to get guns as a new gun owner in Canada today, what would you get and why? And I'm going to start with prepared questions because unlike hot shots with cold takes or whatever it was called, I was prepared for this one.
So I am also prepared because I am a fairly new gun owner, and I have shot guns that are not legal in Canada. I have done lots, but the gun purchasing process and everything is very new to me and my wife. We both did our course. We did our hunting course. We've been hunting and everything. So I will listen to what you have to say and then see if it makes logical sense in the cold shot segment.
Perfect.
I like it. So I'm going to go anti-clockwise again. We'll start with Gavin. Everyone else gets a moment to prepare themselves. Gavin, you have infinity dollars and there are no gun laws. What is the one gun? You can only have one gun. What is the one gun you buy?
Okay, so like the OIC, none of that exists. I can have any gun,
any time period, any movie time. You can have exactly one gun and it's being gifted to you. Money is no object.
FNFAL.
Nice. Is it painted baby ship brown?
Yes.
Beautiful. Love it.
Baby ship brown.
Daryl Watt would be so happy.
Yeah.
All right, Pierre, same rules.
Oh.
You only get one gun, though?
Yeah.
You get one gun, but it's being gifted to you, and the law doesn't apply. You're Trudeau, and you're Trudeau. You have unlimited money, and the laws don't apply.
Yeah. But Idris Elba's sticking it to your wife. But that's okay, because you can have any gun you want, because budget isn't a concern.
And he does look dashing with shoes on.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Or Idris Elba or Trudeau?
Yes.
Well, Trudeau, because I'm not a fan of fancy socks.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Any gun you want.
I would go with one of the guns I shot that aren't illegal is the MG3 belt-fed machine gun.
MG3.
Good choice. Yeah.
And when I was in cadets, I did the NSCE, and I won an exchange to Germany for 3 weeks. So I went to Germany pretty much for free.
Nice.
The only thing I had to make sure was I had my passport, and everything I wanted above my room and board and 3 square meals a day, I had to pay for myself. And because I was in an Army cadets, when we went there, it was literally, we shot I can't remember whatever their military issued. We shot their regular infantry machine gun, which I want to say is the G38. I could be 100% wrong. Their P8,
I think it's a G36 is the rifle that they issue.
That sounds better.
Which is way better than the G7.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Less Trudeau involved. And their pistol, the P8, I think it was, and we weren't allowed more than 50 rounds on the belt, but shooting a belt-fed machine gun MG3, man, nice. I'd love to go back to that. Like, that was fun.
Yeah, I haven't done one of those. I've done an RPK, which was fun.
Yeah, but the belt-fed machine gun MG3, we did an exchange, so we were a bunch of different people. And the funniest is we had a person, so we had, I think it was 7 countries that went to that. And there was one person that was maybe, and I'm probably stretching it, 80 pounds soaking wet. And yeah, they gave her the belt-fed machine gun. And man, I've never seen someone skip across the grass so elegantly and funny at the same time. It was just priceless. But yeah, the MG3 is the only one that can come to mind 100% right now. Okay. Off topic.
Sold. I like it. The MG3 is a solid choice.
Yeah.
I mean, so does an ammo come unlimited with it?
Yeah, let's assume it did.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Then yeah, I don't regret my decision.
All right, Brian. One gun, price is not an object. The law doesn't apply. You get one.
Yeah, I'd probably have to go fully auto as well. Like probably an M249 saw, probably something
nice,
just ridiculous, something that'll just put some serious lead down range. Like, of course, I'd have to go full auto, balls to the wall, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yes. So if I got to do it, if I had to get one gun, and I didn't have to pay for it, and the laws didn't apply, I do like where Chris's head at is on YouTube. The plasma blaster from Starship Troopers is a good choice.
Oh, I didn't think fake guns were a scenario.
The laws of physics also don't apply.
Oh my God, space guns? Come on. I'll take the Death Star.
I mean, I like where Pierre went with the G3. The MG42 is a personal historic favorite. I like where Gavin is at with the FAL. Beautiful, historic, the right arm of the free world. Love that. Yeah. The M249 saw, also chef's kiss. Very nice. Good choice. Stoner LMG suppressed.
Yeah.
Oh.
That'd be good. I mean, do I get a second?
No.
Okay, but
because if I had a second, it would be the MP5 integrally suppressed. Because sometimes you need to go big, sometimes you need to go small, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
The MPSD, the MP5 SD is also again, chef's kiss.
I would have like the 80s black turtleneck that I would wear. Right on.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so Fantasyland is over.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
can't get those. None of us can get any of those guns.
No.
Val's Super Pro Hib, machine guns, Super Pro Hib.
Yeah, but I do think they do have a semi-auto version of the MG in Canada that you can get. It's like $8,000 a pop, but like.
Well, I put that under my big budget guns list of like, if you had stupid car money, or you had, in this case,
like
stupid
fuck
gun
you money, yeah.
Yeah, if you had like, well, this is a step above fuck you money, I think.
Yeah.
But you can definitely get a TNW M37 belt-fed semi-auto in 30-6 for $8,000.
Yeah.
A belt-fed 30-6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Semi.
The M37 is
my shoulder
basically
hurt.
like a 1919 machine gun.
Yeah.
Like my shoulder hurts, man. I'm only like 148.
You get one of those like
right? Like that fucking hurts.
You get that on a pintle mount and you're fine because it doesn't need to go in the shoulder.
I don't disagree. But I have a feeling the tripod or pintle mount is probably banned with the Liberals.
Well, I don't see a problem with getting the mount for it. And if you had 8,000 Canadian dollars or so,
the mount is insignificant at that point.
TNW Firearms in the US makes a semi-auto M37, which is basically a Browning 1919 30 caliber machine gun.
Wow.
But it's semi-auto only.
Yeah.
And it's $8,000.
Yeah.
But you can buy them in Canada and they're non-restricted.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever own that, but that's okay.
It's on my list.
Yeah.
The one CSIS or RCMP person that's listening tonight, it'll be on the OIC tomorrow.
Yeah.
While we're talking guns, I want to address a comment quickly in the thing. 223, is that a decent round?
For what?
Probably.
It's a great varmint round.
I wouldn't
That's
shoot
what it's
anything
designed
with
for.
it, but I'd shoot a communist with it, and that's sort of the same thing.
They kill deers with it in the States.
Yeah, so
I have an ethical dilemma with shooting a deer with a 223. I feel
Ontario
like
deer
into the power spectrum.
Ontario deer, you're not allowed.
Well, no, but Ontario deer you could because they're small.
You can. It's center fire. Anything center fire.
No. So there's caliber restrictions.
Yeah.
Right. So I think
like
I believe the bare minimum you can shoot a deer with is 243.
Okay.
You can shoot a deer in Canada. You can shoot a deer with a 9mm.
Yeah, but a 9mm.
I'm just saying I don't know that you should or that it's legal.
No. So in Ontario though, like Ontario, the deer are pretty small, and a 223, in my opinion, if you have a good a good weight and like a hollow point and all, like with a 223, is not unethical for an Ontario-sized deer. Other parts of the country.
Doesn't the law say center fire only?
No. I'd have to look. They change the hunting regs every year.
No.
But
so
223 is designed as a varmint round. So like coyote, dog, that kind of sized animal.
Yeah.
The reason
coyote
that
had a dog. How come a dog's a varmint? Hell, you shooting dogs, Gavin?
Well, coyote's not much different than a dog, right?
Coyote is a dog.
So no, there are restrictions on caliber for big game in Ontario. I want to say at the minimum, and the minimum is a 243 for big game.
But so the reason that the 223 was adopted by the military, when you shoot somebody and they die, you take one person out of the fight. When you shoot somebody and they are wounded, somebody goes to help them. You take two people out of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
wounding somebody is worse. It takes more resources.
Yeah,
because then the person has to go back and
223 is not a great choice for a lot of things. But if you wanted to shoot small game with it, I think there's a strong argument to be made for that. Or if you wanted it for recreational shooting, I think there's a very, very good argument for that, because lots of guns come in 223 and it's cheap to shoot and it's easy and it's plentiful.
It's big enough that it feels like you're shooting something. It's small enough that you could shoot it all day for not a whole lot of money. And it goes reasonably far enough that like any range in Ontario anyways, you're going to be able to hit the targets at the very back of the range.
Once upon a time when we were allowed to shoot ARs, I shot a 223 AR out to 1,000. It can be done. It's not a good time.
Yeah, I've seen guys shooting
you don't hit
ARs
a lot,
to
but
1,000.
you can do it. It'll go that far.
Yeah.
It's just like it's not. Yeah, there's an upper bound to it. So 223 definitely has its purposes and is a small caliber game or as a recreational round. I think it is very popular for a reason. It's also super plentiful and lots of guns are chambered in it.
Yeah,
easy to find ammo. It's easy to find guns that it works in. It's fine for every level of shooter. If you have largish children, 10, 12, 14 years old, somewhere in there where they're big enough to have centerfire guns, or smaller statured women shooters, like it's not going to be overpowering.
No, it's an intermediate.
Don't necessarily want
to
give them a 300 Win Mag, partly because it's going to hurt your wallet, and partly because it's going to hurt them. But you maybe give them a 223 because they'll have a good time with it.
Yeah, and everyone want to come back and shoot.
Yeah, everyone can shoot a 223 reliably. Like we said, if you've got a 223 and a 308, you're pretty much covered for the vast majority of the shooting you want to do. Yeah, rifle wise.
Going back to the whole purpose of this conversation, if you were a new shooter and you were on a limited budget, you don't have fuck you money. Because if you have fuck you money, you're probably not taking my advice. Let's be honest. I'm going to say that there are basically 4 firearms that you're going to try and put in your safe as a new gun owner. The 4 firearms that I'm going to suggest to new gun owners are a 22 rifle, a centerfire rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. And that's going to cover most stuff. It doesn't cover everything, and none of those are going to do a great job at everything.
No.
But as a new firearm shooter, that covers most of your bases.
I would tend to agree with that. I mean, there's some variation in that. Like, by 22, do you mean semi or bolt? And so on and so forth. But I would say that is probably some really good advice. Where to start?
Well, and on that topic, I'm going to say bolt action rifles for the win.
Yep.
The 22, I would suggest a semi-automatic.
Well, it depends. What are you going to do with it, though?
It depends on what you're going to do with it. And actually, I have arranged myself a schedule of values here, a suggested shopping list, if you will, for your new gun owner, because you happen to have $5,000 and your tax rebate came in, and you got your PAL. So what can I get for $5,000 to cover 95% of the things I want to shoot in Canada, legally and ethically? If I were going to go out and do it today, knowing what I know now and playing within the laws that we have today, I can't go buy an AR. That sucks. I can't buy a Stoner suppressed LMG. That sucks. AKs, Thompsons, MG3s, etc. All the fun guns are banned. What would I do today, knowing what I know now? I'm on my 3rd, 4th iteration of my firearms license. I've got 15 odd years of experience doing this. What would I do differently? What would I do now, knowing what I would do not waste money on? Bolt action 22, particularly a Savage B22. The FVSR model specifically, which at Select Shooting Supplies, where I sourced all of my pricing from, $400. Porta Vortex Diamondback Tactical First Focal Plane 4-16 on it, $500. I have a $900 22 that I can use for damn near anything.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Maple Seed, Outlaw Rimfire Precision Series, Canadian Rimfire Precision Series, Northern Rimfire Target Series, whatever. I have a good quality production 22
small game hunting rifle.
I could small game hunt with it.
The barrel's not too long. It's not too short. The optic you're going to have is going to be great for all of those things. I would absolutely agree and say that is a fantastic choice for an entry-level gun that can do all of the things that you're going to want to do with it.
And do them reasonably well. Right? It's not going to be the world's best 22. No. But it's going to cover most of the things I would want to do with a 22.
Yeah. It's not an and shoots or whatever, but it's also not $5,000.
Right. So I've spent $900 so far.
Yep.
I go buy a shotgun. And I'm going to have a very controversial shotgun opinion now. I'm going to buy a Stoeger M3K competition. But Andrew, why would you buy a Stoeger shotgun? Why wouldn't you buy a Remington or a Mossberg or any of the other common shotgun? because a Stoeger M3K competition shotgun is all tuned up to do everything for $800.
Yep.
It's the same price as a Remington. It's the same price as a Mossberg. It's got chokes. It's semi-auto. It's tuned up for competition. I can shoot trap. I can shoot skeet. I can hunt with it. I can compete with it.
The optic that Andrew was talking about is the Diamondback Tactical.
Sorry, yes. Diamondback Tactical, and the particular model I would choose would be the 4-16 by 44 first focal plane, which can be had for $500, which is less than the MSRP.
Yeah.
Go to Select Shooting Supplies. They're on sale this week.
For the money.
Andrew, have you ever shot that Stoeger shotgun you're talking about? Sorry.
Yes. Once.
Yeah.
Like, somebody handed me one and was like, look at my new shotgun. And I was like, cool, a shotgun.
Okay,
is it
so
good? Like,
yeah, so if we were to tell you to go buy a Benelli, Brian, would you believe us?
Yeah, of course.
So who do you think makes Stoeger?
Yeah, I know.
So the Stoeger is a Benelli clone made by Benelli, and all the parts are interchangeable and all of the things. Now, where you're going to find the difference in pricing is going to be on the machining end of it, where like the finish won't be quite as good. So like the polished thing.
I effectively have a $1,200-$1,400 Benelli for $800 that doesn't look as nice.
Yeah, and for the money, honestly, like Andrew said, that gun will do trap shooting, it'll do hunting. If you get the tube extender, it'll do competitive like action shooting. But then you just take that off, and then you're golden for hunting too.
The only Stoeger I ever held was the cheap, the old P350, I think they were called.
Yeah, and it was break just action.
No, it was pump action. Sorry,
pump.
Yeah, I think it was the Stoeger P350. Am I right? I don't remember. But anyways,
right. I'm not really a Stoeger guy, but I was looking at prices. Yeah. A good Remington 870 police model is $800. A good Mossberg 590A1 is $750.
Yeah.
A Benelli, I can't get a Benelli for $800.
Yeah. I would say, like, unless it's an older model 870, I wouldn't buy it.
And we're talking minimum 15 years ago.
Oh,
longer than that. Freedom Group bought them in the early
for
2000s.
870. Yeah,
If younger Andrew is raising the point that the downside to the M3K is the larger loading port and more shit will get in there if you're hunting.
Stop walking into trees, bro.
But I really like
keep
your gun shouldn't be upside down. You'll be fine. Don't be dumb.
I don't think the Stoeger M3K is a great choice, and I have a hard time with it. But for $800, covers a lot of my bases.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
If you're trying to get into the pump action game specifically, I would take the Mossberg over the Remington with all of their quality issues over the last 2 decades. The Mossberg will be better than the Remington. If you can find an old Remington, then I would say go with it. But the newer ones, I would not.
For pump, I just bought a Canuck recently. I haven't put a lot through it, but I've put a bit through it. I bought it from somewhere East Toronto GTA area. It's the Defender, I want to say. I think it's like an 8+1. At first, the first 6-7 rounds I put through it, it was a little rough, but I put maybe 80 rounds, maybe 80 to 100 rounds through it, just messing around with it. And I can't complain for the price I've purchased so far.
So, and this is where you got to look at things a little bit too. So, we've had this conversation with our buddy Wendell down in the US, and the number of rounds that you put through a shotgun and stuff like that. So like, if you're the kind of guy that goes out and shoots like maybe the occasional round of trap and goes hunting, even if you go hunting frequently, you're going to maybe put a couple hundred rounds down that gun a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot, Brian.
I just want to say that Brian was wrong about something. Younger Andrew got back to us. The Ontario hunting rigs, the current update, Deer, you can kill them as long as it's center fire.
Yeah, I was wrong. I said that. That's what I said. I was right about that. You mean?
Yeah, okay, Brian was right. Something Kurz and Brian sitting in a tree.
When did that change? Because I did my course 2.5 years ago.
Probably the last time I read the regs,
minimum.
Probably
the last
last
time
year.
I read the regs, it says right there, center fire, and I'm like,
probably last year.
Center fire.
Younger Andrew was correct. It's center fire rifle can shoot a deer with it.
I apologize because I thought there were hunting regulations.
There's dudes that hunt 9 millis for. Yeah, I know guys that hunt bear with 9mm and stuff too.
It used to be a thing where like you could, as long as you weren't migratory bird hunting or whatever, you could have whatever you wanted in your shotgun. You weren't limited to 3 rounds, but now you're limited to 3 rounds and whatever you. So like the regs always change.
To all the fuds out there that are pissing on me about it, go on YouTube and just look up FX9 hunting. And you'll see a guy shoot a black bear, but it's pretty devastating.
Canada or in US? Because those are 2 different laws.
Yeah. Dude, we just said it.
Not to get on the legalese thing, but anyway, Brian was right. You can shoot Bambi's mom with a 223 in Ontario.
But going back to hunting versus competitive shooting. Hunting, you're maybe lucky if you put 100 rounds through your gun over the course of a year. Competition-wise, you will do that in a day. And so your Canuck is probably going to be great for you to take out to the range every now and again, go hunting with, and it'll last you a lifetime.
Yeah.
For that. If you were to take it out and start seriously competing in competitive shotgun shooting, even if that competitive shotgun shooting was just like shooting trap, it's probably not going to live up for that long.
We've all been at the range and seen Gavin's Turkish shotguns that have to have vice grips put on to work.
Right. I would say even my 870, which is one of the newer ones. I mean, it's older, but still newer in terms of how long the 870 has been around.
Freedom bought them.
Did not last a lifetime. It lasted a season of competitive shooting before it needed to be repaired.
Right. So, I mean, that's also the other thing, right? Are you going for a more competitive route or more of a recreational, hey, you know what? I'm bored this weekend. I want to go pop off 100 rounds.
I would strongly suggest you get guns that you can compete with because it's going to turn into a progression. That's what happened to me. I started
That's my thought is, if I had $5K to start this over and like, because $5K is a reasonable budget, I think, to get into a new hobby, right? So if I was going to start again, what would I do different? How would I spend that money?
Yep.
And what would I not waste it on that I wasted it on the first time around? 22 pistols.
I got the GSG 1911. That's a pretty decent 22 pistol.
I've got 2 of them, and I never shoot them.
Really?
I don't know the last time I took a 22 pistol to the range, man. 4 years ago.
I love to go to the range with the 22 pistol.
You've got a sweet pink one, don't you?
Yeah, you sprinkle it in between. You sprinkle it in between, and it kind of brings down the cost of shooting.
Yeah, and I can see that. I can understand that. On the topic of pistols, actually, were I to do this all again, keeping in my $5,000 budget to get this started up, I would seriously consider looking at a Shadow, a CZ75 SP01 Shadow.
Yeah,
because they're going to come in for just under 900, or I'm sorry, just over $900. Again, select shooting supplies, $920 on sale this week.
I would not disagree with that if you wanted to get into something like that, but I would also say the CZ P10F or C, depending on your hand size, would be a great striker fire.
And pistol selection is very personal, but you're looking around that kind of that $1,000 price point, I think, as a new.
I would say go for like a SIG. Like if you're gonna spend the money, just especially for a pistol.
Yeah, but even a 226
a new SIG for
or
under $1,000.
That's the
I don't think you can get a 320 for $1,000, can you?
Whereas no, I don't think so.
And
I think
you can maybe get a 226 for $1,000, maybe.
And then you can't go wrong with a Glock either. Get yourself a Glock 17.
And again, I don't Glock or a Shadow or the polymer.
The thing with I would say if you're going to go with the Glock and that, the thing with the Glock is that you're going to get yourself into the pistol
suck.
caliber carbine. Like,
which is
if you're going to go PCC,
advantage.
Yeah, get yourself a
certainly
Glock, and especially if you're going to be like competitive shooting, having a Glock and having a PCC,
There is
right
some-
there. There's your two gun right there. Especially with the Order in Council. The Order in Council killed a lot of that stuff. So your carbine is a great option for 3-gun now.
Having the interoperability with magazines between, I'm going to call it your carbine and your pistol, a great idea.
It's big,
but. Factory out of the box Glock, the sights and the trigger both fucking suck. The sights and the trigger on the Shadow are better.
But then like if you do get a carbine, you can't. Well, I guess you can get. Well, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a carbine that has
but
CZ.
If you like, it all depends on what you're trying to do with it, and I would say that like you could save a few $100s by like. Honestly, looking at just CZ as a manufacturer in general, they have a lot of good quality handguns for good pricing.
Yeah, you're at
they are really nice guns. I don't know. There's something about them. I don't like them. I just like my buddy
Brian
Chris has one
against people from Czechia.
No, I like the Czech Republic. I like them.
They make some very good guns for a very good price. Like their hammer fire guns are good. Their striker fire guns
$1,000, but like 9mm.
Didn't they make a
semi-auto
AK variant too?
Probably
not CZ, but the Czechs they made a. Sorry,
CZ makes the CZ.
Well, 858, but that's not an AK. It's better than an AK because it's got the hold open. Yeah.
So me being fairly new-ish to guns, and okay, I get your first time $5,000 budget, but if you were to plan on, okay, I want to get something that's good and reliable, and I'm okay if a year from now I have to spend more money or upgrade something, would you still stick with that original or go with something different?
If I had to start over and I didn't have any handguns and I didn't have all the tools and things that I have now, it would be very hard for me to not go with a CZ Shadow or something else like that because it's metal, it's hammer fired, it has a reasonable trigger, and it has very good sights. And it is very hard to get all of those things for under $1,000.
But
and I'm a guy that shoots Glocks a lot. Like I shoot a lot of Glocks.
So that's why I'm asking, right? Like let's say, okay, I have $5,000 this year, and say it's the tax return thing. Okay, I just want to get comfortable with the Glock. I go to the range. I'm not planning on doing competitions. I just want to learn how to shoot it properly. And next year I get another $5,000. Would you
Glock
still
is a
go?
Great choice. There's nothing. They're very reliable. They're very simple. There's lots and lots of aftermarket accessories for them. You're going to want to change the sights right away, and you're probably going to put an aftermarket trigger in it because again, I shoot a lot of Glocks. I own 3 Glocks. I shoot a lot of Glocks. The trigger in Glocks is terrible compared to every other handgun on the market. But I mean, striker fired handguns in general have shitty triggers. It's the nature of striker fires.
Yeah, and Glock just happens to have probably one of the shittiest striker fires.
The absolute worst. The M&P trigger is better than the Glock trigger.
So that's why I'm wondering. Like I understand the whole like you've got a semi sort of set budget. Like if someone plans on like, hey, this is my budget for this year, and next year I have no problem spending the same amount of money buying something and upgrading that.
We'll come back to like if money was less of an object, I have some suggestions for that too.
Well, but no, and I can answer that specific question. So if you have 5,000 this year, and then you're gonna you guaranteed have another 5 next year.
Yeah.
If you have that money, you already have a handgun and the magazines to go with it. So buying a carbine, if it takes different magazines, although it's beautiful when they do, it won't matter because you won't need to buy the handgun, which means that you've got that much more money to spend towards a carbine in 9mm or whatever caliber is continued to be legal, and buy the appropriate number of magazines for it. And there are some pluses and minuses to having the same magazine that goes in your carbine and your pistol, as shown by our buddy Jeff in competition when he was shooting and missing and then used all of his Glock magazines in his Glock, that when he went to the rifle portion of the stage, didn't have any ammo left. Got sucked into like that whole quicksand thing where like something is going wrong and it just kept going wrong. So there's pluses and minuses to having like compatible gear. If your shadow mag doesn't go into your carbine, you can't shoot that ammo unless it's in your carbine. So yes, you're going to need more magazine pouches to hold the different magazines, but that might save you in the long run because you suck at pistol, but you're decent at rifle, but the pistol thing was first or something, you know, like.
Yeah, there is something to be. Interoperability is generally a good thing, but there can be disadvantages. So the last thing is the thing that I've skipped over, the thing we'll go back to. It's a very sensitive topic for a lot of people, I understand. Center fire rifle selection. And I'm going to say you're going to get a bolt gun. It's going to cover, again, 90% of the stuff you're going to do legally, regularly in Canada, particularly in Southern Ontario, where I am. You're going to get a 308. It's going to be a Savage 110 tactical. It's going to cost you $900, and you're going to put a Vortex Viper HS LR 6-24 by 50 first focal plane optic on it for $1,300. And yes, I'm spending more money on the glass than I am on my rifle. Suck at YouTube if you don't like it.
I don't disagree with that, considering the fact that when me and my wife got into hunting, Mel, and I spent almost $1,500 on my gun, and you know, people said spend the money on the glass, and I was like, yeah, whatever, right? We purchased a $100 scope on sale. Don't get me wrong, where we hunt, I'm lucky, and I mean lucky, to get a 60-yard shot. So do I need a $1,000 scope to make a 60-yard shot? No. But I purchased a second rifle. I bought a 22-250 for coyote hunting, and I put a $500 Nikon 4x16 on it. And I absolutely hate shooting my 30-06 now because the scope is so much shittier than my 22-250.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that as a rule of thumb, you should not beat your wife, but also as a different rule of thumb, your optic for your centerfire rifle should generally, for a precision type rifle, which is what I'm particularly interested in, should generally cost as much as the rifle. And the more expensive the rifle is, the less that holds true. But until you're talking about like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 rifles, the rifle and the glass need to be comparable in price to be comparable in quality. Until you're talking about like, okay, I have an $8,000 custom, whatever. It has a $2,000 piece of glass on it because that's good enough, right?
Yeah.
And maybe for hunting, you don't need as good of a piece of glass. But like, I'm thinking, what's a centerfire rifle that's going to cover most of my needs? A 308 is going to take most large game in North America.
All ball game.
Right?
Yep.
Like there's very few things you couldn't hunt with a 308 in this country.
Maybe not a bison or something like that, but like
all depending on yardage, and I mean, well, polar bears, but we're not allowed to because we're white.
You're not supposed to do that.
But it's gonna get most of it.
Yeah.
Or if I'm shooting off of a bench,
polar bears are white. What the hell?
So if I'm going hunting, if I'm shooting off of a bench at my gun club, or if I'm competing in some kind of a long range-ish discipline, Savage 110 tactical in 308, 24-inch barrel, threaded for a muzzle brake when I get around to putting one on, AccuTrigger, decent stock. I put a $1,300 Vortex scope on it. It's not going to be great. It's going to be a hell of a good hunting rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's for hunting. That's going to be probably better than a lot of other guns in that range with all of that.
It's going to cover again like 90% of. It's not going to be great, but 308 you get to learn wind on. 308 is cheap and easy as far as like large center fire calibers go.
Yeah.
Right? When you get into those intermediate size calibers.
Yeah.
308 short action. It's relatively cheap and plentiful. You're not going to burn the barrel out like you are with some boutique calibers, like some of the 6s and 6.5s where you burn through barrels fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not dealing with custom stuff or like strange, less popular calibers. You're going to learn the wind on a 308. You're probably going to be able to move the scope forward to another rifle at some point in the future because you're getting a pretty decent scope. And I've managed to do all of this for a little over $4,800.
Nice.
So I've almost left you the $100 to buy a holster with.
Yeah. And I mean, and speaking from experience as somebody that has sort of done this, like, especially with the precision game, like, I got into it not knowing a whole lot about it, and I just wanted a gun that shot a long distance. So I was at the gun store and saw a 338 Lapua Magnum for a reasonable price.
All right, carry on.
Yeah, so I bought it. I had some money that was burning a hole in my pocket.
Oh,
and I bought it because I'm an idiot. And I was younger and I didn't know a whole lot about that particular thing. I just knew that caliber could be good for doing something that I wanted to do, which is shooting a very long distance. Fortunately, I did go with the Savage 111, so very similar to Andrew's choice, just maybe not in the best caliber. And long action versus short action. There's some other things to kind of go along with that. I did go with the Vortex, but I didn't know a whole lot about scopes at the time, so I had a second focal plane. So there was some learning involved, and like that had to be replaced at a certain point in time. But going with the Savage, there was a lot of aftermarket accessories to upgrade and do all of those things as time permitted. And now I'm quite happy with the gun, and the gun has got me and several other people out to shooting a mile consistently. So I don't regret my decision in the long term because the gun turned into the gun that I did want.
Yeah,
nice.
But it took me a little bit of extra money and, you know, some rejigging of things to get to where I wanted to be with it. Mm-hmm. And in hindsight, I would probably have gone with the 308 because that would have got me to not a mile, but getting out to a long distance gun a lot cheaper for a lot less money and a lot less headaches and everything else.
Well, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And the 111 series from Savage is a good series. The thing I was particularly looking for was like if I was going to buy a factory, not custom gun with no aftermarket parts, because assuming like I know what I know now and I've got $5,000, but I have none of the tools or shooting experience that I have after doing this for more than a decade. Because if I was going to do it now, I'd do exactly what I've done. I would build a custom rifle, or I would have someone who knows what they're doing build me a rifle to my spec.
Yeah.
For what I want to do.
Yeah, we at least know enough to know what parts we want on it. Maybe not what to torque them all to, but that's what other people is for.
Well, but that was what I was looking at. A Remington 700? You can't get a 700 with a detachable box magazine from the factory. Still. Blows my mind.
Yeah.
How does Remington not allow you to buy a detachable box mag fed rifle from the fucking factory in 2021?
No, you have to buy an aftermarket stock at a certain price and then buy those.
That blows my budget. I don't want to do that. And then I have a less expensive rifle that I have to put into a more expensive stock, and then I have to have somebody do work on it, or I have to buy tools. And I blow my $5,000 budget that I have. Or I give up on something else. And I wanted to set this up to get sort of like one of everything to cover most use cases, right? Like this is going to cover 90% of people that are getting into firearms. This is cover everything they're going to want to do and more.
Yeah. And the Savage 110 comes in a tactical precision-ish stock out of the factory.
It comes in a precision-ish stock. It has a base for the optic to be mounted on already. It's a threaded muzzle, so you can put a brake on it later. It's got the AccuTrigger, which is not a bad trigger. It's not a good trigger, but it's not a bad trigger.
So I still have the stock AccuTrigger in my 338, and I have not touched it from the fact, like I have not adjusted it at all.
No, but it's not a jewel trigger, or it's not a trigger. It's not.
But that shows just like no, it's not as good. But like without even tweaking the Accu trigger that comes stock on it, I have consistently shot well with that gun, which shows that like
the Accu triggers, I think, are generally
factory trigger, it's pretty darn good.
Yeah,
it's not too heavy, it's not too light. It's good.
It was really hard to find a good centerfire factory rifle that covered my bases because I really wanted something for this list with a detachable box-fed magazine that was like a common pattern magazine, like an AICS magazine or a Magpul PMag magazine that wasn't like a weird, like Savage makes some like magazines that are like they hold 3 rounds in there for hunting rifles and stuff. I don't want to dick with that. Like, give me a real magazine.
But the stock on the 110 tactical, doesn't it come with not the Accu trigger? Well, it comes with the Accu trigger, sorry. But doesn't it come with that stock where you can change the comb on it to adjust?
I believe it does. Have adjustable,
which is good.
Yeah, it comes with like 4 or 5 different heights.
Well, and that was why I was like,
scope and everything. Yeah,
I want something that I can adjust and fiddle with, but I don't have to buy like aftermarket parts for.
Yeah, because I'm actually looking at one of those for a 308. I want to explore in the next little bit for semi-sort of long-range shoot.
Yeah,
right?
The only other thing I would tell you to look at, depending on what your budget is look at the RPR.
Yeah, well, the Ruger precision rifle you got to go up to like $1,200, $1,400, $1,500 for the Rugers.
But it's the same idea. Like it comes ready to go.
So just to clarify, I'm left-handed. So I don't want a bolt gun that's right.
So you should probably just give up now because people hate left-handed people in the gun world.
So I was looking at the Tika
Savage
T3X CTS.
Tika is good.
Savage and Ruger, I think, both make left-handed models. I know Savage makes left-handed models.
Yeah,
Savage, yes, because I bought my 22-250 in a Savage Axis. Their first one, not the second gen with the Accu trigger. I have that in a 22-250 bolt action.
I gotta ask you though, is the wife also left-handed, and does she also want him to get long range shooting? If so, buy the right-handed one if she's not left-handed, and then happy wife, happy life. So
so she's right-handed. So buying a right-handed bolt action will save you about $100 because we both have the exact same Tika T3X light.
Yeah.
And mine costs an extra $100 because I'm left-handed, and apparently,
but it didn't save you though because you had to buy 2 of them.
No, it didn't save me because they didn't give me a tax break. Being like, no, don't worry about it. So I guess you could say yes, I did save $100, but I still So no, she's right-handed, I'm left-handed, and we both have identical hunting 30-06 rifles. Yeah.
I would say if I were starting over, that's sort of where I would be putting my tax refund from the government. I realize this doesn't cover everybody, and there's going to be a bunch of niche stuff, and I was hoping we could talk a little bit about the niche stuff because I'm not a big hunter, obviously. I'm not a big plinker. I do competitive shooting. That's my thing. But I like guns. That's my other thing.
Yeah, but your bolt action 22 would be a plinker right there, right? Like it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll even save you money because, like, while a 1022 or something like that, like, is great for a semi-auto 22. Like, they're stupid fun. They're really accurate. They're relatively inexpensive, depending on which flavor of.
Very reliable too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And like you can get.
I've had one for years. Yeah.
You used to be able to get drum magazines. You still can, as long as they're made for another firearm and you use the plastic adapter, which is still totally legal. So you could shoot like a bunch of ammo for fun and like, but you're going to be shooting a lot more. So like the bolt action is still great for plinking and out to a longer distance and accurately and for hunting, but you'll save a little bit of money because it's going to slow you down just that fraction, right?
Yeah, make you work for it. And I think there's a lot of other, like, we could have looked at things like straight pull, or we could have looked at things like
still
lever
not
guns.
sold on that.
I find that straight pulls, like when I see the prices of the straight pulls, I'm like shocked.
I don't know. I'd really like one of those. What is it? It's a K31. It's the Swiss gun.
The Swiss. I would like one of those, but like I like weird surplus military rifles as a historic.
So I'd really like a good quality K31 for reasons. Just because the other straight pull I was thinking about was like the Maple Ridge Armory's AR-15 alternative.
Yeah, well, they've now got several, like, so both Maple Ridge and Maccabee both have 223 and 308 versions of their straight pull rifle. So they're AR-10s and AR-15s, but without these semi-auto capabilities because they are a novel design.
I've seen a pump action 223.
Yeah, Troy
makes
the Troy.
Pump action.
Yeah, they're fucking not cheap though.
No.
I don't think I'd ever want one of those. Like,
I don't know. I'd probably, depending on what it's for, be more inclined to get the pump action 223 versus the straight pull because you're holding the gun like this. To rack it is easy. To take your hand off the thing, rack it, and then place your hand again.
If I had to pick, I guess I would take the pump action, but I'm not a fan of either one of them, to be honest with you.
I'm not really a fan of either one, and I'm not going to put money into that right now, but...
Compromise guns are...
I also hunted with a pump action 22. It was an old one.
Yeah.
That was like discontinued or whatever. And that thing was fun as hell to go hunting.
Yeah.
Target shooting, that's a foreign entity for me. But going out and a bunny running across a field and you're chasing after it, I would way prefer semi-auto or pump over a straight pullback.
Yeah.
Yep. I could see that. I could absolutely see that. And I think there is definitely time and places for all of those choices, but in my little, like, I've got $5,000 to spend, I'm not buying anything but a bolt gun.
Another niche gun I could throw in there, guys, that I thought was pretty cool, and obviously it's been around for a while. And then they're coming to be available again. The Kel-Tec Sub 2000s. Those are
I think that falls into your it's a center fire. Like even the whole PCC thing as a whole, like it's a center fire, but it's a pistol caliber center fire. Like they're stupid fun.
I like pistol caliber carbines. They're fun. There's lots of options. There's lots of choices when it comes to magazines.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of them are good or reliable, but they're all lots of fun.
Well, the FX9 I think, is one of the better carbines.
I will say that a lot of the kinks worked out. There's some early issues with the FX9 that I think have been resolved.
Yeah. And I have a JR, and like I've got thousands and thousands of rounds through that. And while there are some limitations to the platform because like no last round bolt hole and all that, like it is a very accurate rifle, and it is fairly reliable. There are some issues with it if you interfere with the blowback system and things like that, but that's just the design, right? So keep your finger away from the thing and then it won't jam up and all of the things. But like I like PCCs as well. Like I really want that 4.5-inch B&T.
Yeah, you were showing me that the other day. That thing looks amazing.
But like they're expensive. They are a niche thing. So I wouldn't put them in my first purchase, but they are definitely in the when you get that second or third tax return.
It'd be nice to have it in your collection.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that would be on my list if I had a bigger budget, more money to spend than $5,000 starting over, or if I specifically wanted to get into like PCC competition shooting, like if I wanted to do like IPSC carbine, like if I wanted to shoot the PPC division in IPSC. Yeah, great choice. But I think I think that it's a fairly niche.
Yeah, but I think that's choice. The step one is to get you just into shooting and into like base level competitive shooting, and then you're like, I really have fun with this. I'd really like to step my game up, and now I can compete in this. And those are definitely your second, third, or fourth year tax return where you spend that money, because now you've got that experience under your belt and you know what you like, what you don't like.
Well, and you can. I have another one of those guns in that category. If you get that extra tax return and you want to spend a big part of a tax return, a Garand is a great choice because it's a semi-auto battle rifle in a man's caliber.
Yeah. It definitely ticks a lot of boxes, right? Like it's good for, I mean, it's a little heavy, but like semi-auto 308, so you can use it for hunting the vast majority of large game across the country.
If it were me, I would do like my current Garand is in 308. I would keep a Garand in 308 because I think a 308 again is a great 30 caliber round.
Yeah.
Right. The 30-06 historical stuff, yeah, great, fine. But 30-06 doesn't give you a lot of practical advantages over 308, especially in a Garand.
Yeah, it's just more money. It's
just more money.
It goes through the bush a bit more.
It really doesn't, though. That's because out of a Garand, because you can't load 30-06 to the same high pressure and have it function in a Garand without doing damage to the Garand because of the design of the op rod and the mainspring.
Yeah.
You have to load it to a lower pressure. You have to load 30-06 to a lower pressure for it to work. I'm going to say correctly in the Garand. So full power hunting rounds in your Garand, not a solid choice for the longevity of your Garand.
Yeah. So in the semi-auto aspect, I would agree.
Specifically the Garand. But out of a bolt gun,
that 30-06, I know you'll punch through a bit more.
Yeah,
bush,
absolutely.
More mass, more powder.
Powder. Yeah. Which I can totally get, but also long action versus short action. You're harder on the brass when you're reloading it. The brass is more expensive. The reloading is more expensive. The ammunition itself is more expensive. There's extra costs. And your 308 is going to do the same thing as the 30-06. You just don't have the same penetrating power going through obstacles. I'm going to call it.
Which is important at times.
Yes, and if you want to get extreme penetration, then you need that.
No, you just gotta spit on it first.
Yeah,
well, one or the other. One or the other. So if
I just have to because we didn't bring up the actions. But what do you guys think of levers?
I think there's a time and a place for a lever, and I think they're a wonderful thing. But it's not something I would buy as a beginner. If I was going to get into cowboy action shooting, or I wanted like a guide gun, like a 45-70 like trapper type lever gun for shooting a bear with or something. I think the lever action, I think, is a great choice of gun for very specific things because they're very fast to operate. They're a lot faster than a bolt gun to operate for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And they're very
I think it's definitely nice to have in your collection too.
So I have a Henry 22 LR lever action, and I love taking that gun if I'm going small game hunting.
Yeah.
Right, but so
I could see that.
Like you guys are talking about right now for competition, this, that, or whatever, and I don't regret that purchase. I love taking that gun. Put 15 rounds in the tube, and because it's lever action, right? You can put the shorts in it. I can put like 20. I think it's 24 shorts in it.
Wow!
Oh man, it's awesome. I love plinking around with that gun. Right, but I mean. I really trust that to shoot past 25 yards? Not really. Right? I mean, if I want to shoot up to 100 yards, I'm not taking that.
But if you were going to shoot I don't know if you'd shoot a rabbit with a short. That might still not be enough oomph. Is it?
All depending how close you are.
You're close enough.
Inside of 25 yards, because that's where you're saying you're comfortable at it with. I could see that.
Absolutely. I wouldn't even think twice.
I mean, I don't have a lever gun yet, but like the newer like M-lock handguard.
Gavin wants the tactical black lever gun.
Like the little
you want that Dark Series Merlin.
I mean those look pretty cool, but I don't know how I feel.
But for me, like that, it's the best of both worlds because it's like you've got
because it's tactical and black and it's a lever gun.
Like that for me would be a great bush gun because it's practical in that it's got like the modern conveniences, but it's also still very quick to shoot, so it's not a semi-auto, but like then you're not, beholden to this ridiculous Canadian 5-round nonsense, which is also one of the other reasons why the M1 is a great rifle because you don't have that 5-round nonsense.
Same with the carbines.
Yeah, like you got a nice, compact, reasonably accurate, reasonably fast rifle in a lever gun, and I would like to add one to my collection, especially a 45-70 because that's the only government I trust.
if you want a big bore lever gun, 4570 is a great choice. If you want a good deer gun, 3030 has killed a lot of deers. If you want a fun 22, lever gun in 22 again, and then apparently you can jam it full of shorts.
In the the pistol caliber carbine world, where you got
357 ones.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. You can, the Browning has the BLR, I think it is. You can get a lever action mag fed 30-06 or 308 or 270.
Really?
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
I mean, it's a bit of a
the
pricey
BLRs
gun
are nice. They're nice rifles.
So they're a lever action, but they're mag fed. They're not tube fed. So you slap a mag in, and the action works the same as every other lever gun out there, but they're mag fed, and they're not cheap, right? Compared to many other lever actions.
But you get some bonuses.
But you can get a 30-06 lever fed,
and because it's still manual action, if it's a proprietary magazine, that means no magazine limits.
Exactly. Right. I mean, I don't
10 rounds of 30-06. Yes, please.
Yeah. Right. So it's a bit of a niche gun because
that sounds fun.
Yeah, it does sound fun, but it is a very niche gun, right? You talk to a lot of people that are probably older than a lot of us, and if you're talking lever action, they're going to say a 30-30, right? There's no other caliber to purchase.
But I mean, one of the ones that does 357, that'll also do 38, won't it? So there's some stuff like that where it's you can use that, and it'll do you can have your your hunting load with the heavier load, and then you can have your just plinking load with the softer loads and all. You get some cool variety with those lever guns, and especially if you need a guide gun or a pack gun where you're going to be out in bear country and you don't want something stupid heavy, but you need a couple of rounds of something.
Something quick without having to spend the money on or the potential technicalities that can happen on the semi-auto. We're planning at some point to buy some property. I'm hoping minimum 100 acres. No, trust me, I'm gonna have a lever action.
And if you
24/7 if I'm out.
If you go
buy 100 acres, I'm coming to hunt it with you.
If you go with a mare's leg, you can even have something that is technically in the restricted range, but is not considered a restricted.
I know, they came out and they've been hard to find recently, because I know. So the Mary Legs was it Henry that made that one?
There's a few of them out there, but I think they're the ones that make the most popular one. But it's a restricted barrel length rifle, but it's still considered non-restricted because it's a lever gun.
Yeah, I know. Because you can get that one in 44 Magnum, can't you?
Yeah, which is a decent round, right?
I mean, if I'm walking around the property, or or walking around somewhere where I'm I know this is all me within the next 150 yards, and it's all brush. Yeah, no, I wouldn't mind a 44 mag on my leg in one of those.
Just in case you happen to run into a bear.
A bear,
for safety,
anything. It doesn't matter what, right? No, trust me, officer. The rabbit was attacking me. He was coming
right for me.
It was the rabbit from what movie was it? Monty Python, right? He was gonna go at my jugular, right? So.
Although I'm pretty sure if you hit a rabbit with a 44 mag out of a mare's leg, there wouldn't be any evidence to prove that you shot the thing, so you wouldn't have to worry.
If you aimed for just the tip of the nose, you might get a leg out of it.
You'll be fine.
Have I missed anything else, or did you guys have anything else if you were starting over today? Is there anything else you'd put on your shopping list? Is there anything you haven't covered?
A flamethrower, but I think that falls into the niche thing again. But buy one while you can.
The thing I would also suggest is start buying as much ammo as possible.
And training are all good things.
But just if you're gonna start getting into guns, start buying whatever guns you get. Start buying ammunition for it.
I've certainly fallen into that trap in my younger days. If you have enough money to buy a second, third, fourth, or fifth gun, you've probably got some money to get some training or some ammo or some other things. Like, I'm not saying don't buy that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 30th gun, but like, if you're saying that you don't have enough money for ammo, for training, or all of the other things, but
And
here
you're
you
buying
have
guns
this
still.
massive gun collection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
could've-
I'm looking at my 5 AR-15s and really wishing I had another couple thousand rounds of 308 for the rifle I can actually shoot.
Yeah. Like, do you, and I'm not saying that less guns is better. I'm just saying that, like, there's a point where you've got enough.
And the other thing is too, like, I always think about, I wish I could go back a couple of years. I wish I could go back a couple of years and start buying ammo, because like the prices of firearms and ammo keep going up and up. So like, if you're going to do it, get into it now and start buying ammo now, because in 2 years, do you think the prices are bad now? In 2 years,
they're only going to get worse. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, get a press.
Buying ammo. Get your friggin' ammo, because if you have guns and you don't have any food to feed them, they're no good.
Your last gun purchase should have been a reloading press instead.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was about to say.
That only goes as far as
your components.
You have the...
Yeah. If I had the money right off the get-go, I would maybe not get the top of the line reloading automatic, make 1,000 rounds an hour, but even just a
single stage gets your bolt gun going.
Yeah, I did one of those. I bought that Lee 20 or 50th anniversary. It was like a $225 kit, upgraded the scale right off the get-go and everything. And yeah, I mean, I can reload anything you can think of pretty much. Yes, it's a single stage. It'll take forever if I wanted to do
but you could still do it.
Ammo. But it's still something I can do, that if I want to feed my 30-06 or doesn't matter what rifle, I can do it for pennies compared to dollars for ammo. I mean, depending if you can find primer, powder, or bullet tips for what you need.
But that's also why you stockpile those things. Yeah.
Talk about reloading as its whole own, because you're gonna trigger my tism.
Yeah.
We'll pack that away for next week.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, next week we'll get into how many episodes have we talked about reloading? This will be another one, anyways. Yeah.
So
we'll save that for a future one, because reloading is its whole own.
But you should consider it.
Yes.
Coming up next, the end of this month, book club is going to be the last Monday of the month, which is the 28th of June. We're doing A Handful of Hard Men. Phrasing? We're doing phrasing.
Yeah.
We're reading A Handful of Hard Men, which is about the Battle for Rhodesia by Hans Wessels.
Recapping Pride Month with
Happy Pride Month. Here's your handful of hard men.
Yeah. Doing a handful, eh?
Yeah. You know what? You're probably going to offend some people that are preferred to be rug munching with that statement.
Well, I mean, they can.
If I'm going to be offensive, I'm equally offensive to everybody. I'm inclusive like that.
Yeah. Next month we'll do a different kind of a handful of hard women, I guess.
No.
No, we can't say
we'll
that.
Call it the Donald Trump, a handful of hard women, if you know what I'm saying.
I tried to read one of the Donald Trump books once. It was not good. Anyway, this month, book club, Handful of Hard Men, Hans Wessels. You can get that on Amazon or Audible. And if you're using our affiliate link, it means the show gets a cut of the money. And I appreciate that. Also, summer's coming. The official Big Luau shirt is, as far as I know, in stock on Amazon. If you want to look like all the cool kids,
you need to get that, and then add your roadie short shorts to go with it. That's the official uniform of summer.
That's how you're showing up. And like, you got to get, Gavin, I guess you're going to have to get a holster now in the print of the shorts.
I've already got it in the print of the shirt, so I'm good.
So how short do my shorts need to be? Like, does something need to hang out or not?
If you've seen the shorts that we've ordered online, there's going to be some dangling. Let's just say that.
No, they have a built-in nut catcher. You're fine.
Nuts is not the part I'm worried about. But anyway, moving on.
So what you're saying is you're going to be bringing a hammer-fired pistol.
if you're shopping on Amazon and using our affiliate link, I appreciate that because we get a cut of the revenue. Amazon gives us a little kickback. Also, if you want to hang out with us on Discord, that's probably the best place because I'm not allowed on Facebook. We'll go around to address the YouTube. No T-shirts yet. No hats either. Don't ask.
How am I going to be on the show next week, man? I got to wear the nice shirt. We were talking about different things to buy. I bought a Size Matter shirt that my wife bought me. It goes from like 22 to 30-06, and it has everything. Nice. You got to get me one of those shirts, man.
Well, we'll have to.
You look amazing the way you look right now. I think you should not.
What we should do is just to
my wife tells me all the time.
Yeah. Just to piss Chris off, we should get you a one-off shirt and then not get one for Chris.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. I really like you.
With his overdue
actually, I have one extra. Maybe I'll mail it out to him.
He'll be at the match on the weekend. If you've got an extra, you can bring it to the match on the weekend, and Chris will buy it off you.
Getting that.
No, I'm not giving it to Chris. I'm giving it to Pierre.
Whatever you said, that cold shots and warm whatever.
Yeah.
You said at the beginning. Yeah, I'm okay with one of those shirts if it's not a CPP t-shirt.
Perfect.
All right. I'll talk to Tim about the overdue library books, and we'll see if we can get him on the t-shirt press or something. Let's go. We've been going anti-clockwise a bunch. Let's go clockwise. We'll see if there's a place where people can find them. Brian, do you want to tell everybody where they can listen to the show?
You guys can reach the show at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, or what's the other one, Andrew? You know it better than I do.
Feedback. You can send
feedback. That's the one. Anyways,
300 episodes. We'll get there eventually. Peter, do you have any online social media, anything you want to plug?
So I do have an Instagram thing. There's been no activity for a few years, but I do a funny play on words. So it's PAIR as in Pierre, and then my last name ALLAIN on Instagram. I haven't had Facebook in years, and ask anybody else that you might have info for if you want to get a hold of me, but I strongly doubt that anyways, so we're good.
All right, so good enough. Gavin, where can everybody find you?
For the best places on the Instagram, UrbexGTA, all one word, or this weekend at the Film Aficionado Gun Series in Guelph. I will be there Friday and Saturday, likely in the rain.
Oh, is it going to rain? I'm not down with that, bud.
You trust the weather network that far ahead?
Well, I look at it. I still pack rain gear even when it says that it's going to be sunny.
Okay,
so don't worry about
rain that far ahead from now.
Well, have it,
but don't worry about it.
But yeah, I'll be there one way or the other.
If you've listened to the show this long, you definitely deserve a discount code. If you're shopping at Ragnarok Tactical for medical supplies or first aid accessories or anything like that, use discount code Patriot at checkout. Save yourself some money. Literally, take food from my young son's mouth.
Don't do it.
No. And I did get an email from Canada Post. The rates are going up, and apparently they're going up in September this year. So,
orders
in, shipping well it lasts. We'll see what the changes in September bring. For all of our listeners. Oh, I almost forgot.
Yeah.
I have to apologize to Rod Giltaca. I asked Rod to come on the show and tell us what gun he would buy if he could only have one. He's still thinking about it.
It's hard. It's a difficult decision.
Come on,
For
Rod.
all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.
Bye, guys.